Hi everybody! Okay, so let's get into this because I'm sure you clicked on the title because it intrigued you. Today I am going to discuss things that actually annoy me when it comes to cozy mysteries. Now the inspiration for this video came with the last cozy mystery that I read. I had some issues with that cozy and it made me realize that I have a number of issues with cozy mysteries. We'll get into more as we go along in this video, but I do have to say at the outset of this video, I am not trying to say that I don't like cozy mysteries, because I do. I just think that there are some things when it comes to certain cozies that can really get under my skin. So today I'm going to name some of those things, and then I'm going to discuss ways with which authors that are going to write potentially new cozy mysteries can go about trying to change things so that we no longer experience this when it comes to cozies. So let's get right into it, shall we? Number one, incorrect categorization. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean that if I pick up a cozy mystery book and I read it and I get to the end and think, hang on, this wasn't a cozy mystery. So why is it called a cozy mystery? It makes no sense. So here's the thing. I don't know if cozies just became popular overnight and if I'm blowing this number out of proportion, but a million different authors decided I was going to make this a mystery, but it's going to sell better if I call it a cozy. So let's just call it a cozy mystery and call it a day. You know, slap that title on it, slap that genre on it and call it a day. And for me, that does not work. A cozy mystery should be, I mean, I shouldn't even have to say it. A cozy mystery should be a cozy mystery and not a cozy mystery. I mean, so how do we go about fixing this? Well, I think the best thing is for anyone who is in charge of categorizing a book. I honestly don't know who that is, whether it is the author, the publishers, the advertising executives. I don't know who comes up with putting the category of the genre onto the book, but whoever does that should really strongly think about whether or not this is a cozy mystery, whether cozy mystery, that genre, accurately represents what the book is. Because some cozies that I've read, they just don't read like what a cozy mystery should be. So let's quickly break this down, shall we, for anyone who's considering whether or not to categorize their own book as a cozy mystery, or if they're working in publishing or whatever, and they're thinking, okay, this is maybe a cozy, this is maybe not a cozy. A cozy mystery, the reason why this genre was invented in the first place was to take a genre that was pre-existing and change it up. So the pre-existing genre was that of mystery. Now, I can also categorize things like thrillers as a genre into this mix. So we have mysteries, we have thrillers. You might even go as far to say a horror, although if your book is a horror, then it definitely should not be sitting on a cozy mystery shelf, because one of the definitions of what makes a cozy is that the killings or any type of crime that occurs needs to take place off the page so we don't see it. Where a horror is the exact opposite of that. It's literally in your face, it's brutal, it's bloody, it's graphic, it's all those sorts of things. So if you've written a horror, then your book should definitely not be in a cozy mystery section of a bookstore. But also, uh, a mystery comes with expectations. A thriller comes with expectations. A cozy mystery comes with expectations. And so, to me, a cozy mystery has two words in its title that are the two elements that are the direct components of a cozy mystery. And they are cozy and mystery. So yes, while we do have a mystery and while we do expect for there to be a mystery in a cozy mystery, we also expect that it's going to be cozy. Because if it's not cozy, why is it being called a cozy mystery? It doesn't make any sense to me. Now, a little while ago when I was reviewing books and talking about things in a lot more detail, I spoke about cozy mysteries that I would be talking about in as far as sorry about that, in as far as a putting a percentage to both of those terms in the genre cozy and mystery. And I would say this was more of a 60-40 type book, a 60% mystery, a 40% cozy, or this was an 80% mystery and a 20% cozy. Now, the way that I see it, if a book is to precisely fit the bill of being a cozy mystery, it should be 50% cozy, 50% mystery, because that is what it is. It is a cozy mystery. 50-50. It should be. But a lot of the time, I don't see that happening. One of the best examples I can give you of a book that is absolutely correctly categorized as a cozy mystery series is the Amish Candy Shop series by Amanda Flower. To me, it definitely reads as 50% cozy, 50% mystery. But then there are others that just definitely don't. An example that I would love to give you is Murder's No Votive Confidence by Kristen Brecker. While the cover of this book looks extremely cute and cozy and warm and like it wants to give you a nice, sweet hug, this book is 90% mystery, 10% cozy. And while it is, I guess, acceptable for someone to come back to me and say, but Mr. Francie, even having 10% of coziness in a cozy mystery still technically makes it a cozy mystery because there's some coziness in that cozy mystery. I think that there are expectations around what someone is going to get when they pick up any sort of a genre of any book. Now, not every reader's like this. There are readers who will go into a book completely blind, not even knowing the genre. That's not who I am. While I love going in blind regarding plot, I always make sure that I know the age rating as well as the genre when I go in, because I want to know what to expect. If I've picked up an adult horror, I need to be prepared to face a lot of things that might freak me out. If I've picked up an adult romance, I need to be prepared to face a trope I don't like, but we're letting that go. I expect that there's going to be a loving romance that's going on in the book because that's what it is. With a cozy mystery, I feel like the expectation, and let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree with me on this because everyone's different, but if I pick up a cozy mystery, one of the first things I'm expecting about this book before I've read any of the book at all is, because it's a cozy mystery and not a mystery, that it's going to be cozy. So it just doesn't make sense to me why a cozy mystery wouldn't feel cozy. Now, there are people who are going to come back to me and say, but Mr. Fancy, there are all these different variants when it comes to cozy. Some are more grittier than others, and that's totally fine. But I think if your cozy mystery, if you've written a cozy mystery, or if you are currently reading a cozy mystery, and it is 90% mystery and 10% cozy, to me, that's a bit desperate as far as, like, it's just making it into being a cozy mystery. It will be much better off being a mystery. It doesn't need to be a thriller because cozy mysteries are generally lighter in tone, but just because a book is lighter in tone doesn't necessarily make it cozy. So I would just say this is a mystery. It's not a cozy mystery. Am I wrong? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Number 2. Inaccurate series titles. Yes. Okay, let's jump to a book I was mentioning moments ago. Kristen Brecker's series, the Nantucket Candle Making Mystery Series. Okay, so if you have not read any of the books in this series, I want you to take a moment and think to yourself, imagine that you've picked up the first book, and all you know is that this book is called Murder's No Votive Confidence, and it is book 1 in the Nantucket Candle Making Cozy Mystery Series. What is your first expectation? Would you be surprised if I were to tell you that the amount of candle making that goes on, or the amount of anything to do with candles at all in the first book, probably amounts to about 5 or 6% of the entire book? Would that surprise you? It surprises me, because to me it doesn't read like it's a book in a candle mystery series if there's only 5% representation of what you're titling that series to be. Now, this is not the only series that I had an issue with its title. Another example I'm going to give you is the Vampire Knitting Club series. Oh my goodness. So this series to me again doesn't make sense why it is labeled what it is, because while again there is knitting that features in the first book, I've read the first novella and the first book. While it did feature, it probably featured for 9-10% of the entire first book. In fact, the novella that came before it, which yes was written as a prequel, and yes was written after all the other books in the series, featured no knitting at all. So, I mean, it shouldn't have even been called a cozy mystery, but we'll let that go too. But how annoying is that when you come across a cozy mystery series title and you say, oh my gosh, how amazing, this is perfect for me, because obviously it is that 50% of the cozy side is going to revolve around a subject that I am intrigued to read about. And then you only get 5% of that subject being mentioned in the series, and you're thinking, hang on, why is it called this? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. With the Nantucket Candle Making mystery series, I've read the first 2 books, and I can say that it is a 3-book series. I've read the first 2, so I'm 2/3 of the way through the series. I can say that in the first 2/3 of the series, candle making probably accounts for 10 to 15% of the entire first 2/3 of the series. That to me is not enough. Why are you naming it something if that isn't the dominant feature? It just doesn't make sense to me. When I think about other series that I've read, it makes a lot more sense. The Shadowhunter series by Cassandra Clare, which I think is actually called Mortal Instruments, but letting that go. The Shadowhunter series makes sense calling it that because it is about, get this, Shadowhunters. The Lord of the Rings series that I don't love, okay? I stand alone on that. But the Lord of the Rings series makes sense because it is all about a ring, so it makes sense. The Harry Potter series makes sense because we are following a protagonist whose name is Harry Potter. It makes sense. As a dear friend of mine would say, but saying in a way that you can say on YouTube, make this bleep make sense, because it doesn't. So the way to fix this is to actually read whatever you can read before you are titling the series, even if that is just the first book, and look at what is the most dominating factor or feature of the book. Not what is the most unique necessarily, but what is the most dominating. In the case of the Nantucket Candlemaker series, our protagonist, her name is Stella. I think it would be much more accurate to label this series as the Stella Mystery Series or the Stella Sleuth Mystery Series, because we follow Stella the whole time, so it makes sense. But don't name a series something where that something is not a major proponent of the series. And when I say that we have 15% of candle making stuff that goes on in the entire first 2/3 of this series, it's not necessarily important. I mean, there are some things that pop up to do with candles that may be intertwined with the mystery, but not necessarily intertwined in a way that, oh my gosh, it is the biggest deal in the world. You know, I've heard some advice recently, which is if something was taken out of a book and it didn't change the book, then take it out. It doesn't need to be there. When it comes to the candles in this series, they don't need to be there. In my opinion, it wouldn't change the series. All it would change would be the total inaccuracy of naming it the Nantucket Candlemaker series. So, and I'm just picking on that one series. There are many that I could go into detail about where I'm just like, I don't get this. But there are some great examples. I did mention earlier the Amish Candy Shop Mystery Series by Amanda Flower. This makes a whole lot of sense that it's called this because we are predominantly focused on the candy shop that our protagonist works at. I'm getting a little because it makes sense. Make this bleep make sense. You know what I mean? So, the second thing that annoys me about Cozy Mysteries is when the series title is inaccurately named. Coming in at number 3, cutesy wootsy covers that do not reflect what the book is about. Yes, we've all heard the saying, don't judge a book by its cover, but how many people out there don't do it? In fact, did you know that in the English-speaking language, areas, nations, there are two different types of editions when it comes to books. Now, I'm not going to talk about other languages because I don't know. But in the English speaking nation languages, there are two different types of editions that you can get when it comes to books. The first is the US edition. The second is the UK edition. I've done videos on these in the past. Feel free to check them out. And it doesn't take a lot of research. Go into Google and type in a book you love and then type in UK edition versus US edition and you'll see that there are differences. I've done a lot of research into this because it never made sense to me. Once I became aware of US editions, I started exclusively buying US editions of books because they look so much better. And it's not necessarily that I'm judging a book by its cover, but that I'm going to hold on to these books, especially if I love them, and I would love to see a nicer version of the cover, honestly. But when it comes to cozies, and I'm just going to hold up 3 cozies that I've read this month. Here's one. Here's one. Here's one. Now, one thing that all of these cozies have in common, as does every single cozy that I've ever read, is the cover is very cutesy-wootsy, which is lovely. I'm not saying that at all in a bad way. I love cozy covers. They are so adorable. I wish I could blow them up into poster size and frame them because they are gorgeous. The problem is, if you publish a book with a cutesy-wootsy cover that is an inaccurate representation of what that book is about, that is going to annoy me. Murder Makes Sense has candles right there. And a cat. Well, the cat is a fair representation. And while we can see that there is a window here that looks outside to, I don't know, the island and water and whatever, which is fine. The predominant feature of this book is the inside of the candle store. As I said, we don't spend a lot of time inside the candle store, making this an inaccurate looking cover. Then again, I think that this series should be released as a mystery series as opposed to a cozy mystery series, and there is a massive difference between the look of a cozy mystery series versus a cover, cozy mystery cover, versus the look of a mystery or a thriller cover. Make the cover darker, make it look more gloomy, or make it look more mystery-like. This is not a cozy mystery book, so having a cutesy-wootsy cover doesn't make sense to me, but having a cover that where the artistry, the illustration, doesn't make sense for the book. Ironically, Murder Makes Sense is the title. Yeah, I don't get it. I know that we aren't meant to judge books by their cover, but when you look at a cover, shouldn't the cover give you some idea of what the book is about? And when I say what the book is about, I don't mean what 5 to 10% of the book is about. I mean what the overall theme of the book is. And even for the case of this series, which we've already discussed, Nantucket candle making, no. So yeah, I think I've already intimated it, but how do we fix this? We change the cover. Take what is the most dominant feature of whatever the cozy mystery is and make that the cover. Now, you might be coming back to me and saying, but Mr. Francie, you can't do that because the most dominating feature of any cozy is trying to work out what the mystery is and they might reveal it. No, that's not what I'm referring to. If your protagonist isn't spending at least 50% of the time in their place of business, then why do you have their place of business on the cover? That doesn't make sense to me. If they are mainly, say the protagonist works at a bookstore, but they're mainly in a cafe where they're catching up with their sleuthing friends trying to determine what's going on, have the cover be that cafe, because they're at the cafe a heck of a lot more than they're at the bookstore. Number 4, length of cozy mysteries. Okay, I'm going to go both ways here. I'm going to first explain to you that most cozy mystery publishers have a requirement of their authors that there is a maximum word count for their book. This is interesting for me because I grew up in a fantasy world. Well, when it comes to reading, I did. I predominantly read fantasy. So cozy mystery is completely different because, well, cozy mystery is not meant to be about suspension of belief, and yet a review I read of this book today talked about how suspension of belief dominated the book, and it's true, but still, we'll let that go. Okay, so I know this for a fact because I have been looking into publishers. For those who don't know, I am currently attempting to write my own cozy mystery because when they are done well, I love them so much that the idea of creating my own just really appeals to me. So I've done some research, and most of the publishers that I've come across have had a list of requirements for any potential author that wants to submit their work to them. And one of those requirements is the maximum word count for your book must fall within this range. So they're giving you a maximum. In the world of fantasy books, this is the total opposite. You may have heard of fantasies that are 500 pages or long, or that are, in the case of Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson, 1,000 pages or longer. For the sake of a cozy mystery, you're not allowed to do that. Predominantly, publishers are giving you a guideline of how long it needs to be. And generally speaking, when it comes down to pages, and these books are small compared to your standard book, like these are mass market paperbacks. They're a lot shorter in height and in length. Excuse me. So that makes it, even more deceiving. But for me, on average, I would say 250 to 350 pages long maximum for a cozy mystery. Now, I have issues on both ends of the scale with this. Sometimes, to me, a cozy mystery can be too short because of the limitations that is placed upon the author as to how long it's allowed to be. I wish that it was a lot longer. Then there are other times where a cozy mystery can be way too long for me, and it just doesn't make sense. It feels like there's extra padding put in there that doesn't need to be there. Now, that particular complaint is one that I have with all different genres and all different age ranges of all different books, but I'm focusing today on cozies, and definitely there are some cozies that are around 350 pages long that don't make sense to me because going on that rule, if you take it out of the book, does the book still make sense? You could probably take out half of the stuff that was in those books and it still makes sense. So I don't understand that. I don't like that there are limitations because it also does limit the author. It limits the extent of the author's creativity to say, yeah, please go ahead, write a cozy mystery, but if it's longer than this, you're out. I don't know how I feel necessarily about that. Now, when it comes to books on the shorter end, I am not referring to novellas. I understand that novellas come with their own set of rules, that novellas can't be any longer than a certain page count either. So that is fine as well. I'm talking about a standard cozy mystery book where you have 250 to 350 pages, and it just sometimes feels like it would be better if we could have had a whole lot more. Number 5 concerns reveals. I am not going to give away spoilers here. I'm going to completely zoom out and be non-specific when I refer to this. When it comes to reveals, I have 2 issues, but they both come under point number 5. My first is, if you leave your reveal to the last chapter, it is always going to annoy me because I am the type of reader that if I'm reading a mystery or a thriller or a cozy mystery, that I like to see an epilogue type situation. I want to see what's going on after we have revealed who the killer is. I want to see my main character going back to normal life, or as much as they can anyway, because it's nice that we get to have this moment of all's well that ends well. But if you are going to reveal your killer or whatever the mystery is in the very last chapter, then the last chapter needs to also include the explanation of how this was the killer or the mystery, because it's not enough to just say Andrew was the killer, and I'm just saying Andrew as a random name. This is not a spoiler for any book. Andrew was the killer. The end. That's not enough to do that. So you have to say Andrew was the killer, and here is how Andrew was the killer, and here is how Andrew got away with everything Andrew got away with. And now we have 1 page left to basically say, so Melanie and Simon took each other's hands and looked over the bay, and all Melanie could think was, it's time to move on to the next chapter of my life, the end. It just doesn't leave me feeling satisfied. For me, and it's personal preference, but this is about what annoys me, so here we go. I want you to, at the latest, reveal the killer in the second last chapter, so we can have the last chapter to nicely wrap things up. But that's just me. Okay, next thing is about actual reveals themselves that I want to discuss, and the first thing that annoys me more than anything else about any type of reveal when it comes to a person in any genre, in any format, is if we don't know the person. That gets to me so much, and unfortunately I have come across that more than once in cozy mysteries, and it's not satisfying at all, because you get to that point where you get the reveal and you're thinking to yourself, wait, who is this? And whether you're trying to solve the mystery or not, there are a lot of mystery readers, mystery thriller cozies readers who do try to actively solve the mystery as they go along throughout the book. But even if you're not trying to do that, you're going to remember who the predominant characters are, right? And then you get to the end and suddenly it's Chantel, and there's no Chantel in the book. And then the protagonist says, it was this girl that I'd never met before, Chantel. Oh yes, I'm the long-lost cousin of that person's sister whose brother was working at this place, and I worked across the road from them, down the street where Mary was. Mary was dealing with this and this, and then over in another country we had Maxwell who was dealing with this and this. Mary and Maxwell got together, they found me and told me about what was going on with you. Wait, what? We don't know you! And piggybacking off of the we actually don't know you is any time that I have a reveal in a cozy mystery and I'm saying, wait, who? Sometimes I say, wait, who, when they are a character that has been revealed before. Here is a problem. Here is my problem. And I get that it is a double-edged sword. So trust me, I get that. If you only reveal your killer as a standard everyday type person in chapter 1 and we never see or hear from them again, to me that is a disappointing reveal, because while there's no way that, well, most of the time there's gonna be no way, unless it's very obvious, but there's no way in a normal situation that I'm gonna work out that Drew in chapter 1 is the killer, because we never see Drew again. And then when you reveal it at the end, saying, oh my gosh, it was Drew, I'm going, who the heck is Drew? What the heck did I miss? Oh, that guy in chapter 1 who bought that muffin and said, had a nice day? Like, what? Really? Really? He was in one paragraph at the beginning of the book. No, I think it's the cheap way out. As someone who has written a number of amateur mystery books before, yep, I'll be completely transparent. Links are in the description. I have written and posted books on fictionpress.net and fanfic.net, and predominantly they were mysteries. I know the struggle between having your readers read a mystery and having them work out who done it too early. I get that. And so sometimes you just want to go back to chapter 1 and go, oh yeah, who's the customer that came in for like 1 minute? Mario. Okay, we're going to make Mario the killer. I get it, because you don't want anyone to know till the end. But the thing is, it's an even bigger letdown if once you get the reveal, you either don't know or don't remember who they are. So the best thing you can do is just go with someone that we know. They don't always have to be predominantly featured in the book, but they have to be featured enough for us to know who they are. And also, sometimes the single best reveal can be the character that was hiding in plain sight the entire time. Make it the best friend that we thought all this time was so lovely and so supportive, and yet it turns out they were A. Sorry, PLL reference there. Although, if you've seen the TV show Pretty Little Liars, the first reveal was so good. And the reason for that was because we came to trust someone. And then that someone became the person who done it. And yet, if we don't know someone enough to trust them or to at least be partially invested in them or at least remember their name, it is going to be a disappointing reveal. Okay, this video's gone on very long and I didn't realize that it did, so I'm going to leave it there, but I'll come back with a part 2 if you'll want me to. Let me know in the comments section below. There are other things that annoy me about Cozies, but please do keep in mind that on the whole, I do love Cozies. I wouldn't keep reading a genre of a book if it completely let me down. I just wouldn't do that. There are some amazing Cozies out there, and I do highly recommend them to you. Before I go, here are my top 3. Coming in at number 1 is the Amish Candy Shop series, as I mentioned, by Amanda Flower. Coming in at number 2 is the Secrets and Scrabbles series by Josh Lanyon. And coming in at number 3 would be the Hayley Powell Food and Cocktail Mystery series by Lee Hollis. Alright everyone, that's where I'm going to leave it for today. I am hoping to do a vlog at some point soon, updating you all on how this past week has been going, so keep an eye out for that. And if you want a part 2 to this, let me know in the comments below. Until next time, I hope you're having an amazing week and spread that sparkling energy all throughout the world. Bye everyone!